So, but I think I'll just dive into it and see how it goes. So,
Yeah.
and I'll count myself backwards in three, two. Little clear the throat. La 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 la. Three, two, one, and hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Raw and Real Healing. My name's Damon. I am your host. And if you haven't watched this podcast before, then or listened to it even, thank you for listening and tuning in. Today, I have with me a friend of mine. I almost paused then. I was like, no, Jane is a friend of mine. Jane is a friend of mine, and I met her because she is a Wim Hof instructor, and she's not just a Wim Hof instructor; she's an advanced Wim Hof instructor. Because Jane and I met in Poland. It sounds like a love story, doesn't it? In December 2025, because we were both doing our Wim Hof level two training, but they have now called it advanced level training, to become advanced instructors. And Jane is full of life and personality. She smiles a lot. She's brilliant, and there are. And I just kind of warmed to her when I first met her, and we didn't hang out loads and loads when we were there. But whenever I'd see Jane, I'd be like, "Yes, I get to have a little chat with Jane," and it was nice. And I've got her on the podcast today because she is involved in a study, and you may or not be aware, but for the last 10 years or so, maybe a little bit more than that, Wim's been getting involved with quite a few of the leading medical institutions all across the world. I think there's University San Diego, California, Queensland University is a new one, medical university. He's been involved with the Radboud University, where it all started in Holland, and Sydney. I think there's a Sydney University as well, a medical institution. So he really has been working with some of the top leading universities all over the world. Um, and the results have been, and they keep over the last 3 or 4 years in particular, they've ramped up. I think when he did his first kind of set of studies back in 2014, and it was a year later, and then maybe 2 or 3 years later. But over the last 2 or 3 years, we've had like I think the studies are just increasing and increasing, which is great because it means that we're giving so much credibility to the Wim Hof method. Because for years and years, Wim was seen as a bit of a oh bless you,
Thank
um,
you.
Wim was seen as a bit of an outcast, a bit of an outlier, and maybe a circus freak. And then when he did that first study in 2011, um, the scientific world took note because he was working with the Radboud University, and he proved that we can actually influence our autonomic nervous system, which had never been thought that we could do before. I mean, essentially, we can influence our immune system. And they kind of said, "Oh, well, this is awesome, but we now have to tear up the textbooks and rewrite rewrite things." But I'm going on for I'm rambling now. So as much as that's a little bit of an intro, but Jane is involved in the study, and it's a really exciting study because, as many of you know, I got into the Wim Hof method because about 6.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and the Wim Hof method came to me just at a time when I was really at my lowest ebb, and it took me from thinking I'm fucked and I'm going to die to our bodies are amazing and they can do anything if we create the right conditions, and it makes me feel good as well. So I'm now going to stop talking and I'm going to introduce Jane Jones, who is an amazing person, and beyond that as well, she's also an advanced level Wim Hof instructor. So Jane, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice because, as you say, we connected in Poland in December, but the advanced training it's so full on. It's so intense, and I think it was over 70 people. So
Yeah.
when you've got that many people and that much energy in a room for 3 or 4 days, it is hard to connect with everybody, and you do connect with a lot of people. Um, but yeah, it's just so nice to get to know you a bit more about your story as well. So,
Mm.
and
Oh.
yeah, and to be talking about this study, it's a totally independent study, and actually it started. 2 years ago, I did Lara Hoff's retreat in Poland,
Ah,
where
okay.
I met where I met my lovely friend Jim,
Mm,
who he runs his research company. He's been looking into cold therapy and cancer for a really long time. I think they've done some studies in mice where they've did cold therapy and saw that tumours slightly reduced.
yeah,
So he's been working with his team, for a long time to do more advanced studies and in humans. So yeah, working with guys in Research Hub, and we've set up the platform to, this is just a pilot study at this stage to see how it works.
mm,
How and to it's a 16-week study, and then check in after 20 weeks to see how people are feeling. But they're going to like wear wearables and track their mood, their sleep, how they're feeling. So
yeah,
it's going to run in tandem with any existing treatment and see, can this be something we can take further into doing a full research study. So
yeah.
yeah, very, very exciting. So it's to
Oh,
see, how it can help reduce like inflammation,
mm,
fatigue. So, we never ever say, do we, that the Wim Hof claims to cure cancer. And, it's always nice to have these complementary treatments alongside traditional to, yeah. Because obviously,
absolutely.
you get a lot of side effects, don't you, from the treatment, probably more so than the cancer itself. So how can breath work, very gentle cold exposure, just support that in people mentally and physically.
Mm. Oh, it's interesting that you said the word very gentle cold exposure there because I think I've I was talking to my dad recently who has a slight kind of heart condition, which is kind of under control, but I've been trying to kind of get him into the Wim Hof kind of stuff for ages. And the first response, like a lot of people, is I don't like the cold. I'm not, I'm not doing the cold. And I've said to them, that's okay. I get it. No, no one really likes the cold, but actually, particularly with a heart, we're not looking to. We do want a stress response, and there will be a shock. But yeah, actually, you can do it slowly and gently. If we look at our guidelines that we can give people, it's have your warm shower, then turn cold at the end for 15 seconds. And I said to them, well, have your warm shower, and then go a little bit cold for 15 seconds. So really kind of ease yourself into it, just so you can start getting used to it. So it was really nice to kind of hear you say, yeah, we're the advice is kind of,
Yeah, because there can be that misconception, can't there, especially with like social media,
mm,
where it's all about the ice bath, because obviously that's attention grabbing. But this doesn't even necessarily need to involve an ice bath. Participants can choose to progress to that if they'd like to,
yeah,
but it will just be gentle breathing sessions, and then gradual cold exposure to just showers,
yeah.
and taking it very gently, very easily. And yeah, no ice baths required.
And, and so you've got me kind of curious now, I guess, particularly because I've been through that journey and I used the Wim Hof method all the way through my kind of treatments. And well, I still use it now every day. But so what is the kind of setup of the trial? Are people all in one place or is it kind of across the world and we're kind of monitoring people as and where, or how's it kind of working?
Yeah, so it's all going to start on the same day, so everybody's working in tandem.
Mm,
We're hoping to start in May if we can find enough participants, but it will all be from the safety and comfort of everybody's home. So we'll be guiding the breathing sessions online, and then guiding all the advice for people to take their, gentle cold showers. But it will be weekly check-ins, always available for questions.
mm,
And so it'll be mainly guided by me, but I have had some instructors inquiring, can we do it not in English? So if instructors would like to come forward to also guide some sessions in their language, if they've got people in their community that would like to take part, then obviously everybody's welcome and it's completely open.
mm. Oh, that's great. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds very accessible and um
Yes.
just to offer if you need me in any way, if it's like just for a kind of give people happy to kind of come on and kind of talk for 5 minutes or 10 minutes to kind of just say I've been through this. I am an instructor now, but
Yes.
I can talk firsthand as to kind of how it helped me through treatment. And because as you say, there's a lot of side effects that when you're going through radiotherapy and chemotherapy, and you could have sit in hospital and you see this big bag and it's got a big toxic sign on it, and you look at it and think, oh god, and yet it's it's going to do you, it's helping, but you also know that it's a cancer because of there's two sides to everything, and with chemo in particular, it's they become a lot more targeted, but essentially it kills off some of the bad stuff, but also kind of kills off then your immune system as well at the same time. So things
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
Wim Hof breathing and the kind of the cold exposure, being able to kind of positively influence your immune system whilst you're kind of going through it, will certainly help people to have a bit more energy and tolerate the treatment a bit better. So have working alongside in parallel with treatment really help. I can really see the value in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the main things we're going to look at is because obviously chemo and radiotherapy really affects sleep, quality of sleep in people.
Mm.
So we're going to really track people's sleep to see, when they do the breath work, does their sleep quality improve? Because that is one of the most positive side effects, even, in everybody, in healthy people as well, is sleep quality improves.
Mm.
Um, and be curious how you experience that going through your treatment.
I'm trying to think back to my treatment because it was quite a while ago now, but
Yeah,
I don't
probably a bit of a
remember.
blur.
Yeah, it was a bit of a blur, but it's certainly something I won't forget.
Yes.
But I don't remember not sleeping. I think part of the, I'm going to call it the benefits. I'm using the kind of quote things there of chemo, is or things like radiotherapy and chemos. They do tire you out. So to a certain extent, you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, yep, I am ready for bed. But then, as I'm sure you'll know, um, it's all very well kind of going to sleep or kind of getting in bed, but it's the quality of sleep, and that's what really helps us kind of get up the
Mm.
next day and be able to kind of tackle things and get your body back to where it needs to be, so it can actually really start to kind of embrace the treatment and heal better and quicker.
Yes, yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And that's what I expect because my dad, he had cancer for 4 years before he passed away. So I saw his whole chemotherapy journey, and he
Mm.
was, you would never even have known he was ill until to the point where he started the chemo. He felt complete 100% fine. He said, I don't even feel like I've got cancer through my whole body. I just felt absolutely fine. And then started the chemo, and yeah, just his health really deteriorated after that. Unfortunately, he wasn't open enough at the time to take on board his daughter's suggestions of
Mm.
cold or breath work, being, in his 80s. But
Yeah, it's
who
so
knows?
hard, isn't it? It's when you've got all these things kind of going on, and I think that the real lovely about thing about you kind of doing this is that it will lend the whole study will then kind of, and appreciating it as a pilot study, but it's still a study, and that's great because it means it'll lend credibility. And one of the things I think that I face, and I'm sure you face, because being an instructor and kind of talking to people about health and healing is, if we don't believe something will work, then we don't think, we don't even kind of consider it in the first place. And it almost sounds too simple, doesn't it? Well, I've just got to do a bit of breath work and just have a cold shower, and that's going to actually help me heal. And it's like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't sound scientific enough or like credible enough, does it? I think that's quite often is once you can get people believing and understanding the science behind what's actually going on, how you're resetting your body, rebalancing the value of increasing your white blood cells, your red blood cells, and when you start talking that language, it's brilliant what happens. It's You really start to kind of it's getting people buy-in. So I think it's absolutely awesome that you're doing this because it's going to give real credibility and give a bit of hope and inspiration to people to kind of go, okay, I will try this. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you say, that visualization, it's like when we'll do the breathwork sessions, we'll talk about a little bit about the science, we'll keep it relaxed and comfortable, but talk about how, we have our anti-inflammatory cytokines activated and, suppressing the inflammatory
Mm,
markers in the blood so that while people are doing the breath work, they can feel into their body, imagine that their cells are doing that, picture these these suppressants of the pro-inflammatory markers, which is what we're trying to assess really is, how can we affect the inflammation in the body, which is causing the problems. But, doing the breath work, doing a bit of visualization, it's just so fantastic for the body. And we get that mind-body connection back because,
mm.
we're so busy, so much stuff going on, we lose connection with our bodies, don't we? We just think it's this big lump of flesh, and blood and bone, but actually, let's get in contact with that. Let's picture each cell, and that connection could just do wonders.
Yeah, it's just fascinating to hear you talking about that and kind of talking like that because I used to do quite a bit, and I still do it sometimes. I kind of visualization, and I kind of got the idea from Joe Dispenza, kind of talking about
Yeah.
lightning bolts hitting your tumor or kind of piranha fish. So the lightning bolts was the chemo radiotherapy, and then kind of making it crumble, and then the piranha fish were kind of the chemotherapy going around your body and nibbling away and kind of
Mm.
eroding it. I used to kind of sit there and kind of be in the shower and say my brain is healing and it's growing bright, glowing bright pink, and kind of visualize a kind of a healthy brain. But then you're taking it to a deep level. Let's visualize healthy cells. I guess that was more specific to me. But yeah, let's imagine
Mhm.
your cells becoming healthy and as we both know, placebos work because through the power of belief. And if you
Yeah.
start to believe something's happening and you can visualize it, and that helps give the brain, the body, the message, and then all these amazing things start happening in our bodies.
Yeah, it's that whole third pillar of the Wim Hof method, the mindset, and
Mm,
um, yeah, putting our trust back in our bodies, that our bodies know what to do if we give them the right tools. So we obviously,
yeah,
yes, we've got the breath work and we've got the cold, but that mindset of I'm in charge here, really um, getting that connection back, that positive belief that give our bodies the right tools and the right environment,
mm,
and yeah, they can do the work they need to do.
yeah. And I speaking from experience and kind of talking to other people, I know it's when you have cancer and you're kind of thinking, I just need to kind of trust my body. It's a really scary thought. You think, fucking hell, how do I do that? I've got something growing in me that's trying to destroy me. How
Yeah.
do I trust my body that it's going to actually heal? And so that's the kind of scary bit. And I guess that's where bringing in the science, a little bit of a science, because we don't want to overwhelm people. It's bringing in enough to kind of give people a bit of reassurance and kind of help them kind of understand quite simply how the body works. Because we've got these amazing bodies, but they're actually a lot simpler to use than we've realised, and we don't have to understand all of the intricacies. But something as I guess it's looking at the marginal gains because expecting someone to kind of go from right, I don't believe anything like this to all of a sudden going, right, yeah, I'm fully sold in. And it happened for me, but I don't expect it to happen for everyone kind of like that.
Mm.
But it's about just giving someone a little bit of proof and then feeling a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And that is like the old marginal gains, 1% improvement. And Marcus, if you remember Marcus uh, from the group who had stage 4 cancer, was given a terminal diagnosis, and 7 or 8 years
Incredible.
later he's still here and he's bonkers and runs marathons, and he was running 7 miles each way to treatment every day, and he's an absolute fruit loop. But it's amazing power of the mind and power of the body. But it's those little, he would say to himself, I've just got to do a few things today that will make me feel better. And he was looking at lots of little marginal gains. So I can imagine with this study that you're doing, it's just helping people to kind of understand, appreciate. Going, we're just looking for a little bit of improvement. We're not looking to kind of suddenly have a scan in 2 weeks' time and go, hey, it's all gone. We're actually going, we just because the journey starts with small improvements and then you build. It's like building a mental or physical habits. We start small and we build and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, like you say, giving it's not like you're going to have a scan and it's all clear. It's just, oh, do I feel slightly less tired today than I
Mm,
did 2 weeks ago before I started breath work? Or, do I have like 5% more energy than I had before? Even that tiny little, like you say, that little incremental things would just be incredible.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
thinking about some of the people who might be listening to this, Jane, because I'm going to share it with um, my network, and in particular, the Brains Trust kind of network. And I have quite a few people following me who've been on the kind of or are on kind of whether it's a brain tumor or kind of general cancer kind of journey. So if they if we do happen to kind of have someone who's listening going, oh, interesting, how can I kind of get involved? What are the dates and what would that look like? What would they need to do and how could they get involved?
Well, get in touch with us to start with, so we'll put the details below. But it will start with filling out a questionnaire and getting clearance from your oncologist or team of doctors that they're happy for this to be a supportive method, because obviously not all medical people are open to alternative methods. But if you explain how gentle it is, that it's literally just some breath work.
Mm,
So yeah, filling out the questionnaire. And then we'll probably have a Zoom call with everybody to just talk through the process. I've got some information I can send in a PDF that explains the whole, the structure of how we are going to run the study. And the exciting news is that recently Wim Hof was on his recent US tour, and the research team met up with Wim. And he's obviously, this is a totally independent study, but Wim is really,
mm.
keen. He's really supportive of it, really enthusiastic, and he would love to guide, hopefully, the first breathwork session himself, if
Oh,
not
awesome.
more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really, yeah, really exciting. And yeah, just to really understand that actually it's all from the comfort of your own home. There's no hospital visits
Mm,
required. It's, yeah, so 16 weeks, we'll just do once a week breathwork session guided, and then do the breathwork at home, which takes, say, 15 minutes in the morning. Again, we'll supply, guided breathwork through the Wim Hof app or the likes of that, or YouTube videos.
mm.
So, yeah, to not think it's too daunting, it's going to be quite gentle process, not too intense, and fully supported, with guidance, questions,
Yeah.
support.
And in conjunction with getting kind of the support and kind of clearance from their side, but also from your side as well, kind of in guidance. It is
Yes,
a study and it's
yes,
got parameters. It's not just not
yes,
just someone in a shed doing hoping to kind of get things involved. It's a proper study. It's great.
yes,
Um,
yeah,
not just me in my bedroom doing it on my own.
exactly, yes, yeah,
Brilliant. I love that Wim's involved.
yeah.
He has. I know when I first kind of got into the Wim Hof method, I know he was working with. There was a couple of kids, like I think there were two twins
Mm.
in Amsterdam who I think they might have. I can't remember where they had some form of cancer anyway. I know he was kind of working with them. And
Yeah, it was his next door neighbour's two children. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Yes. And that's an amazing YouTube video to watch about
Mm.
the mum, their mum talking about it. It's just incredible.
Is that? was just thinking about, is that easy to find? I'm sure it probably
Yes,
is.
definitely.
I'll have to have a little dig, and I can share that so that people can. It's good to
Yeah,
get as
because
much.
basically their children were too ill, their blood cell count was too low to be able to have treatment. So
Mm,
Wim just did very, obviously because they're children, very, very gentle
mm,
breath work, very, very gentle cold exposure, making it very playful.
yeah.
And then the doctors couldn't believe how much the cells improved that then they were able to have the treatment
Mm,
and B, still live very happy
yeah.
childhoods because the kids were so sick having the treatment, they'd lost all their hair, and these kids were full of energy, and
Oh, that's great to hear.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
incredible.
I've had a similar experience myself in terms of when I got to round 5 of, so I went through, did radiotherapy, then 6 rounds of chemo, and as I got to round 5 of the chemotherapy, as you're saying, they monitor your blood levels, and my red blood cell count was, it was kind of getting low, and I know the marker was it had to be, if you're under 100, then they won't let you go through with chemo because you're not strong enough to kind of deal with the kind of toxicity of it. So I got to round 5 and had my blood markers done, and they said, okay, well, you're about 102, so the chances are that next time, round 6, we might have to wait a few more extra weeks to kind of let your red blood cells to kind of get back to normal again, um, or closer to normal. And I listened to that and thought, oh, fuck that, I don't want to put this off anymore. So for the last week before starting round 6, I went from just doing my normal breath work, kind of Wim Hof breathing in the morning, to kind of, I think I did it 3 or 4 times throughout the day for a week. And I just really upped
Mhm.
it and upped it because I just remembered hearing Wim say, it increases red blood cells, white blood cells. I was like, right, okay, I've got this. And I went back in for round 6, and my red blood cells, instead of going down, they were 105. So it was only a little bit, but it was enough to actually allow me to kind of go through. So
Right.
yeah, I've got my own experience of kind of doing that. So it's nice to hear that it's not just me. And oh God, when kids are involved, it really pulls on that. It's just whatever the right word is.
Comprehensible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, can you talk a bit about as well, for future participants, the benefits that you felt from doing the breathwork while you were going through treatment?
Hmm. Well, I generally, if I look at radiotherapy to kind of start with, all the feedback and all the advice was you're going to get really tired, you're going to get really tired, and I might have some headaches, but I went through radiotherapy, and don't get me wrong, I was tired at the end, but I don't feel I was anywhere near as tired as I remember going out on the bike after 2 weeks, so 2 weeks in, and I got a PB going up the hill on one of the cycles I do. Now that's only 2 weeks in. I certainly wouldn't have been able to do that 4 weeks or 6 weeks in. But I genuinely felt that, and because every morning I would do 3 or 4 rounds of the breath work, and I'd have a cold shower, and I'd do my kind of visualization. And I just felt it gave me more energy. At the very least, it made me feel like I was taking back control. I was doing something that was good for me, which
Yeah.
made me feel good in itself. I guess looking back, it's quite hard to. I could have wished I'd been part of a study at the time, because it's quite hard to kind of know what's placebo, what's, or just to kind of know what was actually the difference. I guess that's the hard thing. Is that's why it's great when there are control groups, and obviously you can actually see the difference in people. But I know from talking to kind of peers and you know other people I'd met along the way, kind of going through treatments, that I always seem to have more energy and be in a better frame of mind than them. Um, and that's, at the very least, that's because I felt I had a tool that was kind of good for me. And yeah, don't get me wrong, chemo was certainly a little bit more grueling, but I had relatively few side effects. I had a rash that popped up a couple of times, and I took some, I think, steroid cream that kind of got rid of it, which I didn't. I don't really like taking medication, not now anyway. Before everything, all of this happened, I'd take medication for anything pretty much. But going through treatment, I felt I had very few side effects. I certainly got a lot more tired during chemotherapy in particular. Um,
Yeah.
but I do think it really helped me with my energy and just knowing that it was resetting, rebalancing my body every day. And I joined the Wim Hof method. It's set up by Patrick Phillips, who's a level 2 or advanced instructor. And he set this group up about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. And because he had cancer, and it's called the Wim Hof method, Cancer Survivors and Support Group. So I joined that, and there's plenty of people on that saying, my oncologist calls me the crazy ice woman, and all these different stories, and lots of people kind of just saying keep up with the breath work, or ease off on the cold when you're not kind of, if it's bothering you, and it's playing with your mind, then you have to kind of just, as we teach people and Wim teaches people, is listen to your body, not your mind. Listen to your body, and if your body's saying the cold's too much, then the cold's too much. So you dial it down a bit, or kind of hold off for a few days. But the breathing is probably the one thing that I, from the feedback and the kind of online as well from those guys in that group, the, the breath work was always a thing that would be the kind of staple, and it's the cold that people would dial in and dial out of depending on how they were feeling, because certain types of cancers you get, I think it's called, a lot of sensitivity in your cells through the type of chemotherapy that you're on. So I know I had a few people I was working with, and Blake over in the US. Blake, hello if you're listening, and he's doing amazing now. But he was trying the cold, but his cells were just too sensitive to it. I was going to call it myopathy. I can't think what the right phrase is, or what the right terminology is, but it's a little bit like myalgia. What's the right,
Oh,
Jane? My brain.
fibromyalgia.
That's the one. Thank you.
Yeah.
My brain's really going this morning. Just sensitivity of cells, so like things like the
Yeah.
cold really, really could have people feel it. But I know that so I think when we're looking at things like that, then it's start with the breath work, and that will help with the sensitivity, and then slowly try it. And at the very least, just try it. And as you've kind of given the advice there, try it softly and slowly. It's not about jumping into that ice bath straight away. It's just about
Mm.
having a shower and then slowly starting to dial it down and just seeing what's happening.
Yeah. And then, as we've learnt recently on our advanced training, especially how the breathwork releases endocannabinoids in the body,
Mm,
which are our body's natural pain relievers. So naturally, that will help with a like sensitivity or suffering, any pain, and B, prepares you for the cold showers
mm.
because you're less sensitive because you've got those endocannabinoids activated within the body.
It's pretty phenomenal, isn't it? Just through a breath work, you can get endocannabinoids. That was always a word that I'd hear people talk about, endocannabinoids, and quite often I'd hear it with regards to you know therapeutic marijuana and stuff like that. I think I'd hear
Mm.
people talk about linking it there, and I don't know enough to kind of even comment on that, but it was definitely a term. Endocannabinoids was something like a big boy scientist or big girl scientist kind of word, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, and we can just do the Wim Hof breath work and we release endocannabinoids that kind of go around our body, and they're just hunting, going, right, I'm going to try and fix stuff. Yeah, and release the pain mentally and physically as
Yeah.
well. It's like, that's pretty phenomenal.
Absolutely incredible. We think of something as breathing as so simple, but actually there's so much power in it when we harness it in the right way.
Mm,
So powerful. Change
yeah,
our whole mindset, our whole um, structure of the body, what's going on there.
Yeah, and there's so many. I don't know if you ever read this book, Jane, but it's James Nestor,
Oh,
Breath: The New Science of Lost Art. And
incredible.
when he was talking at the beginning, and he said he was interviewing all these different people, and this one woman said to him, "You start from the beginning that breath can heal, or breath can kind of make you sick, and there are more types of there." So many different ways to breathe. There are more ways to breathe than there are types of food. And when you think about that, you're like, that's quite a few ways to breathe, isn't it? And they all do something different to you. Like, wow, yeah, that book, I always recommend it to people, and it's
Yeah,
what got me
it's
into it. That's how I found out
brilliant.
about Wim Hof. How did you find out about Wim Hof, and what got you into the method?
Well, I was always like, even from a young age, searching for different alternative things outside of the system and medication, etc. Did yoga, meditation, all that sort of thing, and felt amazing effects from them. But then one day I just saw Wim on a podcast and his energy. He's like, whoa, who is this? And he said, right, lie down comfortably in your lounge, going to guide you through a breathwork session. Did that, felt like nothing I'd ever felt in all my years of yoga, meditation, different things. I just felt I'd completely in another zone, it's like different in the body, different in the mind, and just started practicing at home and felt so many benefits. I mean, I've gone through the whole menopause with no symptoms at all.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's quite a big thing.
Yeah, so probably because I started the method over 6 years ago, that probably coincided with when I started perimenopause and then going through the menopause, and I've just had no symptoms at all. It's literally like my cycle just stopped, and
Yeah.
yeah, no mood swings or brain fog. I mean, obviously brain fog's a little bit sometimes when I'm tired, but
Mm.
um, yeah, like so much energy compared to when I was in my 20s, and I'm in my 50s now, and just feel so much more energetic and um,
You're in your 50s.
a lot
Oh.
more like lust for life kind of thing.
Mm.
And then also I had an injury that doctor said would take 18 months to 3 years to heal, and it healed in 5 months.
Oh, what was that?
Frozen shoulder, so it's actually
Ooh.
incredibly painful. And yeah, up to 3 years it can take, and I'm just convinced it, but I can't put it down to anything else than the breath and the cold.
Mm.
And then the third thing that it helped me through very emotionally was my dad getting cancer, and then his whole cancer journey, and
Mm.
going to chemo with him, seeing him slowly deteriorate, and then passing away. But I felt like the breath work in the morning set me up for the day.
Mm.
Then I do my cold shower and I just feel a lot stronger, and I felt like my emotions were a lot more in balance. So normally, going through a family member being ill, my emotions are all over the place. I can, really go to really dark places.
Mm.
But I just felt really calm and in control and grieving, but in a healthy way. And
Yeah.
just like my mood was a lot more on an even keel. And I just thought, this is helping me so much physically, mentally, emotionally. It's just incredible. So I thought, and then I had a friend who she suffered a lot with depression and anxiety, and it got her out of a really, really dark place. And to see someone very close to me go through that, and she put it down to the Wim Hof method because she came along with me to a workshop. And after I saw that happen, I just thought, I need to teach this. It's incredible. Yeah, and haven't looked back since.
Yeah. Oh, wowzers. Oh, there's so much in there. And you've actually helped me realize, because over the last few years, because when you were kind of saying about um, moods and just, we still experience stuff in life. And for the
Mhm.
last, I guess, 3 or 4 years, I've had quite a lot going on, kind of both with treatment and without treatment. And, it's been nearly 4 years since I've finished, but everything, and then kind of post life, building a business, and all this other stuff kind of going on in your life. And um, don't get me wrong, I've certainly felt stress over the last 3 or 4 years, but I've always felt that I've got this deep sense of calm within me. And now that's not to be confused with not having any emotions and feeling stress. I certainly feel it, but I think my stress response, the time that I spend there now, I can let things go quicker. Um, Still not quick enough, maybe some might say, but I don't. I think if we look at the analogy of like mountains and peaks and troughs, I think I'm a lot more like rolling hills now
Yeah.
as opposed to that jagged or like up down up down. It's like which just is an absolute petrifying roller coaster. So I
Yeah, it's
guess
like
if
that
we
feeling of out of control, isn't it? To becoming, yes, we do have stress and grief and sadness, but
mm,
it's a little bit more in control.
and I think even the if you look at kind of trying to give your brain a mental rest, when we look at doing the breath work in the morning, it's 15, 20 minutes, whatever it may be. During that time, and in particular during the breath hold, that's when I'm there and I'm at my most quietest. Thoughts come in and kind of like, but they're not kind of, there's nothing shocking or anything that ever kind of happens in that time. It's when I kind of feel real at peace. So if you look at each breath holds maybe a minute, 2 minutes, and there's four there. So there's like 6 or 7 or 8 minutes of like real brain at rest time. And we don't actually need to kind of I think that is enough to kind of help rewire or break neural kind of pathways or break the cycle and stuff to kind of that's why I'm able to kind of feel more resilient and bounce back from things a lot quicker than I would have done years and years ago when I'd have probably just spiraled out of control, drunk a lot more, and um, well, I don't really drink much at the moment at all, really. But that's kind of another story. But I definitely see, and I'd be interested to hear how often, what's your kind of daily routine with the Wim Hof method, and what do you do?
Well, I try to do my breathing. Well, I always do my breathing as soon as I wake up because I
Mm,
think it's like getting into that habit of, and it takes 30 days to create a habit, doesn't it, in the brain where neural
mm,
pathways start to reconnect and things become a habit instead of a chore or something that's hard to do. So I have got in that habit of just, it's like cleaning my teeth, wake up in the morning, do my breath work before I even get out of bed. It's done then, it's set me up for the day. I don't think, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. No, oh, I haven't done it, never get round to it. It's like it's done and dusted, even if you're short for time, even 3 rounds is amazing. I
mm,
think to do 4 rounds, you start to get into that depth, but 3 rounds is totally sufficient if you're short on time. And then, yeah, cold shower every day and the ice tub probably 2 or 3 times a week.
mm,
So it's not every day, but cold shower every day. And I can really, so if I do have a warm shower occasionally, feel totally different that day.
mm,
Totally different. So yeah, that is my habit and routine that I've got into. If I'm feeling under the weather, then I don't do the ice baths. My husband's different. He's like, kill or cure. I've got a cold coming. I'm going to get in. And he found when he a few years ago had COVID that the breath work really got him through it. He would get severe headaches. He'd do a few rounds of breath work. The headache would subside for a couple of hours, or 3 or 4 hours. Come on again, do some more breath work. Headache gone.
mm.
So yeah, it's really, I always say to people, it's managing what's best for you as well. So if trying to commit to breath work every day is too much and it's not realistic, don't set those goals because you're always going to fail. And then, you don't want it to become more stressful to yourself trying to stick to a plan than, just doing it less and going with the flow a little bit. So even 3 or 4 times a week is incredible. Try and make it
Mm.
realistic, I think, is the thing, isn't it? Carve out that time where you won't be, you know, disrupted and I think always going back to the why of why you're doing it. How do you feel on the days when you've done it? How do you feel on the days when you don't? And I'd say 99% of people always say, I can feel the difference.
Mm,
So going back to, that waking up, oh, I've got to do my breath work, I've got to do my cold shower, get out of that routine where the brain, the monkey mind's doing its work, trying to stop you doing something difficult or different. Um, yeah, I just think what's realistic to me, what can I fit into my routine? And
yeah, and
yeah. not too much pressure, but just when you feel those benefits, really tap into how did that make me feel?
Yeah, and looking back, and what was that day like? And
Yeah.
I think I haven't missed. I did go through a phase about 3 years ago where I was really struggling with the breath work, and I just had to, and I could have in the breath hold in particular, within about 10 seconds, it felt like I was kind of almost panicking and going, I need to breathe, I need to breathe. And I was just like getting myself in a right state. So I just stopped it for 2 weeks and then
Yeah.
came back to it. And then it was like I was putting so much pressure on myself. And I was like, what are you like? I had to kind of take some of my own advice, which is a bit of a regular theme with, I think, with quite a few of us, really. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just,
Some people find having a break is good as well. Sometimes the body just needs that reset, even, yeah,
mm,
to break out of your pattern of breathing and then to feel how different you feel. And then when you get back into it, to appreciate it more. And
yeah, get that
yeah,
excitement back into it, or kind of
yeah,
enjoyment. And I try and kind of set things up with a little like now it's nice, so I go and do it outside.
oh,
I always have a bit of, if I'm inside, I try and have a bit of kind of just, I just type into Apple Music, meditation music, and kind of put that on quietly in the background, not too loud, but just kind of just, and yeah, make it a little, I guess, I was going to say ritual. I don't know if that's the right word, but just have it as a nice experience as opposed to, you know, something that you can, as, as not a nice experience. So something I look forward to, or kind of,
yeah.
um, but as I
Yeah, and I
say,
think when I guide a breathing session as well, I always say to people, like, really have gratitude to yourself that you actually even thought about giving yourself this gift of time to yourself, because we can just get into the rat race so quickly, can't we? Or start
mm,
checking emails, then I'm doing this, then I'm doing that. So if you actually do get round to doing the breath work, just really having that gratitude to yourself, that putting yourself first and then transforming your whole day and how your interactions are, well,
yeah,
being kind to yourself and with other people as well.
mm. And it's so simple, and it's but yet it's so powerful, and it's there's so much science behind the fact that the way we end our day and the way we start our day has a massive impact on us. So, the first 15, 20 minutes of the day, even if you're not doing the breath work, just find somewhere quiet, calm, and just be with yourself and say something positive to yourself. Or if you can do the breath work, brilliant, kind of get into it. But just start that day with a positive intention and acknowledge the negative, let go of it, because that's the thing I was never good at when I was younger, kind of going through my 20s, is negative stuff. I'd push it away or just avoid it. I was the champion at avoiding stuff or pushing things down. And yeah, it's acceptance and go, don't have to, um, just trying to not put too much pressure on yourself. And you don't
Mhm.
have to jump out of bed feeling amazing every morning. You just get out of bed, find and just create a bit of space for yourself for 15 minutes and just be and set the
Yeah.
intention of gratitude. Just thank you for the day. And maybe that sounds cheesy, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I went to a funeral of a friend who was 28 the other day, so getting up in the
Wow.
morning now and saying gratitude is like, yeah, I really fucking am thankful to kind of get up every morning. And so we need those little reminders every now and then. But slightly sidetracked there, but yeah, if you can, there is science, and in fact, I've got it here. I bought this, the 6 Minute Diary. I don't know if you've heard of that. Um, and it's a diary kind of designed to make your life easy. So it's 3 minutes in the morning, 3 minutes in the evening, and it's kind of set out and it's asks you three questions, and it's usually what are three things you're grateful for in the morning, and then what's your positive mantra for the day, and then what are three things great that happened today, and it just gets you into that habit. And when you read the kind of beginning bit, and he's talking about rewiring your brain, and it makes perfect sense because we are all designed and primed to look for the negative, to kind of scan the periphery and kind of go, what's going on, I want to keep myself safe. So that worked thousands of years ago, but we now live in a world of kind of a psychological world. So it's now turned into a bit of like negativity. So we are naturally primed to be little bit negative, which is once you know it, you go like, okay, I can accept that. So then if we can, then the power of just getting up in the morning and finding three things that you're grateful for, um, and you start to find lots of little things like, oh, that green tree over there, or whatever it may be. Um, but actually, what you're doing to your brain, then you start teaching your brain to look for positives in the situation. So when stressful shit does happen, you suddenly, after kind of that 30, well, they say 60 days in this book, but everyone's got a slightly different. It varies between 30 days or 60 days, depending on which scientist you speak to, I think. But the whole point is that we can rewire our brains to actually look for the positive in the situation. And when you do that, you experience less stress. It's amazing. You
Yeah,
don't
especially
experience
what you're
no
talking,
stress.
especially what you're talking about there about how we're wired to look for the negative.
Mm,
And we've been like that for thousands, millions of years. But thousands of years ago, we would have been looking at the negatives in just our little surroundings. Now we're
mm,
consuming world wars before breakfast. We know everything about everything going on in the world, and
yeah,
we're not meant to consume that in much information. So,
no,
more than ever, we need to, build that structure of what you were just talking about.
yeah. Do you watch the news?
No,
No, neither do I. I
no,
stopped watching
no,
it years ago. Like occasionally I'll
no.
get snippets here and there, but um, I will log on and have a little look at stuff. But in the morning, I definitely don't watch any news whatsoever, and I don't really watch it in the evening. But otherwise, your brain's just filled with all this. Like, unless you are actually going to physically do something about all the crap that's going on, you don't need to know about it. And I hope that doesn't sound you have to be kind of selfish because you need to protect yourself to then be able to be strong enough for yourself and then for other people.
And
And
that's how peace is created in the world, isn't it? Like from what the Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa and all these, inspirational people always say, your peace in the world starts with peace at home.
mm,
So if everybody's just protecting and looking after their own peace, we're creating that in the world rather than watching all this about war and politics and the ravaging of the earth and everything. If
mm,
do all our own small steps that we can take in any way. And yeah,
absolutely, I love that. And you've said that a lot more eloquently than than I have. Um, but one thing I will say that I did watch on the news, or in fact, it came on my Instagram feed, was um, the moon, the pictures of like the dark side of the moon and the earth in the background. You look at that, it's phenomenal thinking that puts everything into perspective and going, we are just little things in a massive universe. We're on
yeah,
this rock hurtling through space and we are there's so much we don't know yet. I love science and quantum physics and all that stuff. I don't know deep levels of it, but it's just so fascinating and it pictures like that really kind of capture your imagination and kind of I guess it's like standing in a at the bottom of a mountain, kind of looking up. You're just there and going, "Wow, we
yeah.
are part of this amazing thing."
It
But we're
takes
only
you out of your own little world and your own little problems, whether they be big or small. Just takes you out of that and
mm,
puts perspective on, you know.
yeah, certainly does. We need a bit of perspective sometimes, and well, I say sometimes, more often than not, we need a bit of
Yeah.
perspective. Um, oh, well, Jane, thank you so much for coming on. This has been, yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I know that there'll be so many people listening to this who will get something out of it, and I hope even if they aren't quite ready to kind of get in touch and maybe kind of become part of this study, maybe they might start just having a little try of the breath work at home or get in touch with one of us and say, can you just give me a few tips on how I get started? And there's loads of resources on
Absolutely.
the Wim Hof Method website and on YouTube. But yeah, I think this will be. And I'm just looking back at. There's a few little highlights. You mentioned going through the menopause with very few symptoms. I was like, fucking hell, that's awesome. Like that's how that. Surely there will be. hopefully some women listen to that going, um, I think I need some of that, please.
Absolutely, and it's not just me because when I do speak to other women who, do the Wim Hof method of a similar age or time in their life, it's very, very common that they report
Mm,
how symptom free they go through the menopause.
yeah, brilliant. So I've got a little highlight of four things here. So we've got going through the menopause and really kind of making that actually, I'm not going to say a pleasurable experience, a better experience. That's the right word I'm looking
Yeah,
for. Um, Side effects through radiotherapy and chemotherapy. I've experienced that, and hopefully other people will start to experience that as well from practicing the breath work and the cold and helping with depression. A frozen shoulder. I mean, that just sounds painful. Um,
yeah,
Having
it's
recovery rates increasing or getting better. And then the final little bit, which is probably at the heart of the Wim Hof methods we were talking about just then. I loved our last little bit here when we were talking about just finding that bit of peace, for yourself in the
mm,
morning. And if it's the breath work, brilliant. But if it's not, just find some bit of peace in the morning for yourself and take that power back. Set your day up so that you can actually, the way we start things, carry that energy into the day. And then when stressful things do happen, you're a little bit stronger because you've had that bit of time in the morning to kind of just for you. And it means that you will be slightly better at responding to the stressful situations that might happen during the day. Um,
yeah, building that resilience.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
mental and physical. So if you had a cold shower in the morning or doing your breath work, you've built yourself up over time. So when little stresses do come in, you're just naturally more resilient.
Mm,
Yeah, and then the last thing I would comment on as well is if the community that you get with the Wim Hof method, or breathwork groups, and like you mentioned, the Facebook group. It's such a supportive environment, such a lovely community of people. As that's a really incredible thing for anyone going through illness or depression.
mm. Yeah, community is everything, or it's part of one of the vitals that we need for life. There's a TED talk out there, and this guy's talking about the top 10 reasons people live the longest. Um, and you've got the usual suspects in there, kind of giving up drink, giving up smoking, blah 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 blah. And then number one is human connection. Um, and like otherwise, why are we here if we don't have that connection? It's like if I was about to say something poetic then, but I think I'm going to fuck it up. So I was just about to say, I was about to say, if you're in a field and you hear a tree fall and you're just there, does it really? But no, I've got the wrong quote there, so I'm just going to zip it. And
But it's about finding your tribe, your
mm,
support, your network, connection with others. Yeah,
indeed,
like we did in December, and obviously we've got a lot more to learn about each other and get to know each other. But we just started with that little spark of connection, and then look where it's taking us.
yeah, absolutely. And um, and I think looking at what happened in Poland there. So I was in a bit of a funny place at the time. I think I almost put too much pressure on myself kind of going there. And if I'm being really honest, I felt a bit intimidated by all these other Wim Hof instructors out there and so not that other people weren't friendly, but I saw you and you didn't really say too much or try and kind of put yourself on me or anything like that. But you just had this energy, and I was like, okay, I feel I can just talk to Jane and just relax and
Oh.
be myself. And I know I could have done that with anyone, but in particular, I honed in on you for whatever reason. I was just like, okay, yeah, right, Jane, I'm coming to you, and I'm just gonna sit with you and harass you at kind of dinner time. So
I'm glad you did.
yeah, so thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so if anyone wants to get in touch about the study, just to drop us an email, and we can connect. And it's, healthy people as well to be the control group as well. So we've got a control and
Ah,
study
good point.
group.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you
So
highlighted that. So
yeah,
So
so we can compare the results and hopefully take it further and enjoy the process as well. Finding that a bit of time to have some guided breath work, bit of guidance. There'll be others in the group, so it'll have that community, and then
yeah, a little bit of connectivity while you're going through
yeah,
something shit. So brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
love that. So all of Jane's contact details and things about the study, everything you need to know, we'll put in the show notes. And I say we, it'll be me because I don't have an assistant. I am just me. I'm the T boy. I'm everything. Whatever it is, I do it. So, yeah, so you'll be able to get in touch with Jane, find out more about all this stuff, and yeah, and you'll also be able to kind of connect with her and chat with her if you want to, if you're in her area, and or even if you're not, and you just fancy, you go, oh, I like the sound of this Jane character. I'm going to chat more with her. So you can do that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you,
Wonderful.
Damon.
All right. Well, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening. And just remember to breathe, believe, and if you can, have a little cold shower. Yeah, cool. Thank you.